Ladies and gentlemen, right now there are 6 teams that still have a chance to win the national championship. By the end of the night, though, we will be down to 4. 2 will be eliminated as we have the opening round matches tonight. And we're going to break it all down here. I'm going to be joined by Jonathan Bates and an assortment of guests to talk about these matches. Two big ones coming up tonight as we're going to have Penn State taking on Lewis, 2 conference champions going at it, and then UC Santa Barbara taking on Pepperdine. And we're going to first be joined by Jonathan Bates. Jonathan, before we get into the full breakdown, give us your thoughts. How excited are you for these 2 matches?
I'm super excited. I was excited for yesterday, just getting the tournament started with Belmont Abbey and Penn State. Penn State showed us who we thought they were, a really strong serving team and a really efficient offense. And I'm curious to see if they can continue the efficient offense against probably the 2 best middle attack starting combo in the country. And we're talking about Tyler Mitchum and TJ Murray.
Well, you talk about this matchup. It is going to be a big one. Penn State and Lewis, they have met every single year since 1994. There was a big question mark if they would meet this year. Destiny ensured that they were able to meet playing the NCAA Tournament. We had a chance to chat with Lewis coach Dan Friend last night to get his thoughts on the match. Let's play you some sound bites of that.
I think these guys serve extremely well, so we're going to have to be dialed in there. And then they go faster than what we've seen a little bit in conference, and they got a fast offense, and Wagner does a great job of dishing out the ball to their guys, and so we're going to have to look to slow that down a little bit at the net for sure. But yeah, it's I walked into the rivalry. It's been going a long time, and me and Pav have had some great battles over the year. Lots of those matches went 5 for sure. And, those guys got the better of us last time on a reverse sweep. So certainly still in the back of my mind as you bring it up. And I'm sure all these guys were on the court that were part of that. So we want a little piece of that. So we've also played in the past couple of NCAA tournaments that we've been a part of too. And I think those guys won in 14, we won in 15. And so I think it's going to be a good one to watch, and I'm excited to go play.
So Jonathan, I'm looking at this matchup. I'm excited by it. I think that you have a very senior-laden Lewis team and a Penn State team, not senior-laden, but still lots of experience. For me, the matchup that I'm loving and looking forward to is the battle at the centers. You talk about Kohlberger, who EIVA Player of the Year. Sometimes the numbers don't indicate just how good he is, how smart he runs the offense. Keep in mind, Penn State only had 4 attack errors in that match against Belmont Abbey. And then you have Kevin Colling. This kid's an absolute beast. Led the nation in assists per game average, runs such a good offense, and runs a very good balanced offense. Not saying that Berger doesn't, but the way that Lewis is able to run their mills like we talked about, there's just so many options, so many weapons. This is just going to be such a fun matchup to see these 2 young men battle out, who both are probably going to be playing pro volleyball after their college careers are done.
Oh, for sure. And you're talking about 2 offenses that rank in the top 4 in hitting percentage. And it's not just because of the setters. I think it's also because of the pin hitters that you were referencing on Penn State, where it's a 2-headed monster with Cal Fisher at the opposite position and Brett Wildman. Wildman yesterday tied a career high with 4 aces last night. And on the other side, you have the first 5-time All-American in Ryan Coonan. And, as Ryan Coonan goes, so goes Lewis. And I think he's going to have a monster match tonight.
Coonan has loved to play against Penn State in his career, a combined 77 kills against the Nittany Lions. And he's hit more than 300 in all but one of the matches that he's had in his career against Penn State. Yeah, Jonathan, this is, once again, an intriguing matchup. And I kind of look at how you go about beating these 2 teams. So I kind of was looking and thinking about the losses that these teams have had throughout the year and what maybe the opponent could have learned from those losses and everything. You look at Lewis, they got 2 losses on the year, but you have to keep in mind that Kyle Bougie was out really just coming back and forth when they had that loss to Ohio State, and then that loss to McKendree that they had. How do you win that game? McKendree did so well extending rallies, keeping the play alive, daring you to beat them. And you look at Penn State, they have the capabilities to do that without doubt, especially when we talk about the job of Cal Fisher offensively. That guy's a great back row player as well. I mean, this is a kid who put up 19 digs in a match this season. This kid can play. So I think for Penn State, it's going to come down to serving tough, like we mentioned, extending those rallies and being able to make news. I know that this sounds cliche, but sometimes it's cliche because it's accurate. That's what you have to do to get the wins in college men's volleyball. And so that's why I'm kind of looking at, if you're Penn State, Jonathan, I'm going to flip it around to you, get your thoughts. So if you are Lewis, what do you have to do here to come out and get the win and beat a good serving Penn State team?
I think, passing is probably going to be the weakness for both teams. They're just because both teams are facing really potent offenses. I think with Penn State, if you're Lewis, the key to winning is getting the middles involved like you have all season. And I think if they can pass the ball well enough to get the middles involved, I think that they'll go a long way to winning. I think one thing that is interesting is that both you were talking about Lewis's loss earlier this season to Ohio State. Let's not forget that Penn State also lost at Ohio State. So that's one thing that both teams have in common, is that they both have lost at Ohio State earlier this year. That being said, I'm not sure that we can take anything away from the common opponents of these teams, because that was months ago.
Yeah. And Jonathan, just to point out, who has said in group chats, who's that team that's I'm calling to win the 2023 NCAA championship? Oh yeah, that's Ohio State. So get on the bandwagon, folks. I'm already calling 2023 Ohio State with the young players that they have returning coming back. Jonathan, before we get off this match and talk about a different one of the things I do like about both these programs, I always like to look, the nice thing about being at the NCAA tournament is kind of get a chance to observe the teams and everything, not in matches, but just how they are, in practices around. The thing that I love about both these programs is they're staying loose. We saw the Instagram video 2 nights ago of Cal Fisher giving his teammates haircuts in the locker room. I was able to watch a little bit of the Lewis practice yesterday, and very mean business, but just to see some of the relaxes that they had leading up to the match, they were having fun, testing the speed guns and people racing by them to see how fast they could run. So I like the fact that both these teams are staying loose, and I just feel throughout my time covering the NCAA tournament, the teams that are loose, not uptight, are the ones that end up having success. So, Jonathan, we have had a great opportunity to talk about Lewis, Penn State. And from my standpoint, I feel bad because we're going to be talking now about a West Coast matchup. And this is when we need Brandon Johnson to come on in. This is the dream matchup for him. You got 2 West Coast teams. You have UC Santa Barbara, Pepperdine, former MPSF rivals, now different conferences. They have met more than 100 times. But this will be the first time they meet in a conference or in the NCAA tournament. We had an opportunity to talk to Pepperdine coach David Hunt about this matchup and get his thoughts on it. So let's hear what he had to say.
I think siding out has been a strength of ours. We didn't stop too many people at the MPSF tournament. We just hit better than them. And against UCLA, I think we were pretty dead even. It just came down to the serve pass battle. So if we're siding out efficiently, and luckily we have a darn good setter, 2 real good setters to help us through that. So our side out game is probably the strength. And then if we're turning points, if we're digging the ball and transitioning and scoring on those opportunities, then I think good things are happening for us. And against Santa Barbara, I think it's probably going to be a good match for a diehard volleyball fan to watch, because there's going to be a lot of long rallies and guys popping the ball up, and not only popping the ball up, but then able to get a good swing out of it. At least that's what I saw from them in the Big West tournament, and then some of the regular season matches. And then when we're playing good volleyball, we're doing that as well.
So that was David Hunt's thoughts about the upcoming match. We're now going to be joined by someone who can break down this matchup way better than Jonathan and I can. We're now joined by Kevin Ensley, the man, the myth, the legend. Kevin, gotta get your first. Thank you for joining us. Gotta get your initial thoughts here. The Waves, the Gauchos. What are you looking forward to in this matchup tonight?
Yeah, this matchup hits home for me in a lot of different ways. I played under Rick McLaughlin way back in the day. I won't tell you when, because you'll know how old I am then. And then obviously in 2019, I was the assistant coach of David Hunt and the Pepperdine Waves. And so it's great to see the Waves make back-to-back appearances in the tournament, given what's going on in the world. But Rick's got the Gauchos firing on all cylinders, and very similar to his team back in 2011, which was very senior heavy. And they saw a great run in the tournament. And when they buy into his system, a lot of great results happen. So what I'm seeing here is an even matchup. I mean, there's the biggest discrepancy to me seems to be experience. And as I just alluded to, this Gaucho team has been chomping at the bit for 2 years to be in this position and try to go after the coveted championship. The Waves returned 2 players who had any sort of playing time in their last Final Four appearances, and they were both liberos, and now they're both outside hitters. So you talk about what 2 years in a difference looks like on a roster, but credit to David Hunt for sort of, leaning into what his team's strengths were. But there are also now 3 true freshmen in the starting lineup. And as a longtime Wave, that's a pretty unheard of stat, because usually we're looking at a lot of veterans sort of over the years. So even matchup, it's going to be a little bitter. I just remember in 19 when we played at Santa Barbara, got chippy. I love that. I think that's a great environment to be playing in. Both want to win. Both are very well aware of how good each other's teams are. So there's going to be a heavy matchup there. And then I think at the end of the day, you're going to be focused on a few folks who can really turn it around. So you've got Austin Wilmot in the middle for Pep, who I believe is one of the top middles, if not the top middle, in terms of just sheer productivity time and time again for his team. And then you got the X factor, which will be Spencer Wickens on the Wave side, where he could literally carry a whole match and do some unthinkable things while also maintaining a level of consistency. And then on the Gaucho side, McGarry's the man. I coached Casey when he was a senior in high school, and he's just continued to defy odds. He's a winner around all costs, and he does a lot of great things to make the Gauchos tick on all cylinders from an offensive perspective. And then Randy on the right, I mean, to make the switch that he made a couple of years ago and just be so successful as an opposite attacker. I think he was second in the Big West in points per set and averaging over 4. And that's just impressive by all means. So you got a huge rivalry here. A lot of good things that are going to happen. I think it's going to be an incredible match. And it's going to be a really tough situation for whomever has to play the winner of this match.
Yeah, and you look at this match, and just to follow up on what you were saying, and this is, I not mean this is slight at any of the players at all, but I think one of the impressive things, you look at both these programs and these teams, it feels like they play better as a sum than they do as all the parts. I think that's really a testament to the job that both Rick McLaughlin and David Hunt have done this season. Want to get your thoughts, though, Kevin, going into this match, when you have 2 teams that run good offenses, good setters, does that change at all the serving mindset for a team going into this?
I think, I mean, from what I've noticed from the Waves over the year, it seems like they've gotten a little less aggressive from the line and a little bit more of let's get some balls in play and let's play some volleyball. I think the Gauchos are going to rely heavy on the arm of like a Wilcox to get some points coming from the line. I do believe the serve and pass game will be the distinguishing factor in this match. So I do think if there's a server that can get hot and get on some runs, that's going to really, big points are going to be a big deal from both sides of the net. The Waves have an advantage, I think, in the blocking side of the ball. And so you're going to see if they can get the Gauchos in some tough spots or some predictable spots, it's going to be good for them to go out and get the guy on a high ball situation. So I do think serving is important, but I don't see either team sort of deterring from their strategy that they've been implementing for the last few months. And so we'll see sort of how that plays out.
Jonathan, I know you have one question you want to get in, then we're going to bring in another person and get to some predictions. So Jonathan, go ahead.
So Kevin, we love to have lighthearted questions on here. You mentioned Randy DeWeese, but so who has the better hair, Randy DeWeese or Vinny Lopes?
Ooh, I mean, Vinny's looks pretty solid right now, and since he invited me to his show, I'm going to obviously side with him.
Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no fool. Although Bates, you might be giving him a run for your money with yours too. So who knows? But yeah, definitely Vinny. I'm going Vinny. Randy's got plenty of time to lose that hair. Who knows what he's going to look like in a few years?
All right.
I like it.
Before we get to the picks, though, everyone, we did have an opportunity to talk to Coach Rick McLaughlin before this match to get his thoughts on it. So let's play that interview or segment of that interview.
We're very similar. Kind of have a smaller lineup and scrappy, dig a lot of balls, compete well. And Pepperdine, I have a special place in my heart for Pepperdine. I worked there for a long time, so it's a great program. I think it'll be a really good match.
So that was Rick McLaughlin's thoughts on the match. We still have Kevin with us. He's going to give us his picks, but we're growing the people giving predictions. We are now joined by the former All-MIVA middle attacker, Aaron Flick. And Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. Have to ask you really quick before you're getting your picks for the match. You're an alumni of Lewis. What's your thoughts on Lewis trying to make a championship run this year?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I would just say, man, I'm so excited for this team. There's a lot of experience. There's a lot of high quality talent on the Lewis Flyers roster. And, if there's ever a year that they can make a run for a national championship, this would be it. They got to, get over the hurdle first of playing Penn State. Penn State's typically had Lewis's number. I know over the last few years, Lewis has made a good run at them, but I'm excited for this team. There's a lot of experience. We have our first ever 5-time All-American, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. Then we got some phenomenal talent out of the middle between, with Mitchum there and TJ and then, Kevin running the offense there and then, Kyle on the outside. There's a lot of talent there. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see how the boys do out here.
All right. Well, we got both of our guests with us. Still, we got Jonathan Bates with us. It's now time to get into the predictions of who wins, which means they don't even need to play the matches tonight. We'll make our picks here and decide this. So let's start off, though. This probably isn't right. We should do guests first, but we'll go Jonathan. Start us off. Who you got in this one? Or who you got in? Let's first go with Penn State versus Lewis. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Lewis in 4. I think that Penn State's going to take a set off just based off their serving, but I think the offensive attack for Lewis is just going to be too much for Penn State to overcome.
Kevin, who you have in this one?
I agree. I had Lewis in 4. I think playing a match in the gym for Penn State is going to make them feel a little bit more comfortable in there, and they're going to get after it from the service line and cause some troubles. But Ryan Cunningham is just too good. That Lewis team 2 years ago, they've returned Mitchum and him, who made a great run at the Final Four there. I think they're going to be pretty dominant tonight.
Aaron, what about you?
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased here, but I'm gonna say Lewis in 3. I know Penn State, they got some experience on the court yesterday, but Lewis, they've just had that tournament experience and they've been on a roll lately. I think Lewis is going to bring it to them on offense. To everyone else's point, though, if Penn State can bring it from the service line, it could give Lewis some trouble, but I think Lewis is going to sweep them here.
We're going with the sweep. All right, so I'm going to take Lewis here, but I'm going 5. I think that Penn State guts it out, forces a 5th game, but in the end, I'm going to go Tyler Mitchum. I'm going to say he hits 500 plus tonight. Huge night for him. All right, let's close it on off now, everyone. UC Santa Barbara, Pepperdine, an old showdown between two conference rivals. Jonathan, who do you got in this one?
It might prevent me from being welcomed back at Pepperdine, but I'm going to go with UC Santa Barbara in 5 sets. I will say that my player of the match prediction will be Austin Wilmot. I think he's going to have a monster match. I just don't see a answer on the Santa Barbara side for him. And he's been probably the most consistent player for Pepperdine all season long.
All right. Aaron, what's your take? I know you're a Midwest person like me and the Meva, so we're okay if both these teams lose and no one advances. But who do you got in this one?
Yeah, can these teams lose and some more MIVA teams hop in here? No, this is going to be an awesome volleyball match. There's a lot of history between these teams. I think Santa Barbara is going to pull it out in 4. Deweese is a stud on that right side pin, and I think he's going to have a monster game for him. It's going to be close, but I think Santa Barbara is going to take it.
Kevin, who do you have here?
Not so fast. Isn't that what you guys say? I think it's the Gauchos' game to lose. I think they're definitely, like I said, a senior heavy team who have been hungry and waiting for this moment for years. But no way am I picking against my Waves. I think D Hunt's going to have these guys ready to go. I think Spencer Wickens will be the X factor. I think he's going to bring a whole different level of game that is going to just kind of make the Waves shine. The freshmen will get more comfortable as the match goes along. So I'm going to say Waves in 5 sets.
I love that. Love that. So here's the thing. I got a cup of coffee right here. And the reason why, one, I love coffee, but oh my gosh, I need to drink some coffee for this one because this match is going to go long. There's going to be so many long rallies in this one. I don't think Penn State Lewis is going to start till 10 o'clock tonight because that's how long this match is going to go. In the end, though, I agree it goes 5. I take UC Santa Barbara, though. Sorry, Kevin, I take UC Santa Barbara, but who the heck knows? I'm usually wrong on all this stuff. So maybe it's a good thing that I'm not taking Pepperdine. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for us here. Want to thank Kevin. Want to thank Aaron for joining us. Be sure to stay with Off the Block throughout the night for all your men's volleyball coverage, as we will be bringing you live updates from the wetlands of Columbus, Ohio.